Welcome back to Across the Pitch, your one-stop shop for all things football. This is episode 5, and let me tell you, we've got a cracker of a show lined up for you today. We're diving into the matches that went down on the 14th of December. EPL action, Bundesliga drama. It's all here, from thrilling goals to tactical masterclasses, and of course, a bit of controversy, because let's face it, it wouldn't be football without it. Now, if you're as obsessed with the beautiful game as we are, here's the deal. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notifications so you never miss a kick. Oh, and we want to hear from you in the comments. What were your standout moments? Who do you think stole the show? Let's make this a full-on football debate because honestly, that's half the fun. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's get right into the action. Ready? Let's go across the pitch. Right, so let's paint the scene. Arsenal versus Everton, a clash that promised sparks but delivered, well, a bit of frustration. This was one of those games where you keep hoping anything will ignite. Let's unpack it. 96 minutes. Arsenal 0, Everton 0. Not the scoreline anyone predicted, especially not with the attacking firepower both teams brought to the table. But football's like that sometimes, beautifully unpredictable, maddeningly so. First half. Whistle blows, and right from the jump, you could sense Arsenal wanted control. They were on the ball, probing, testing, trying to find the cracks in Everton's defense. Gabriel Martinelli had his moments early on, cutting in, getting shots off. 8 minutes in, he's blocked on the left, and then again, a corner from James Tarkowski's intervention. Classic Arsenal, pressure and precision, but where was the finish? Now Martin Odegaard. Oh, he had his chances. Around the 29th minute, Odegaard gets a brilliant feed from Saka. Sharp turn, left-footed shot, and there's Jordan Pickford. Say what you will about Pickford, but that man knows how to frustrate attackers. Bottom left corner save. That's Everton's Pickford in a nutshell. Bold, unshakable, and sometimes outright annoying if you're the opposing fan. Then we had Declan Rice, always involved, trying to break the deadlock. He takes a right-footed effort from outside the box, blocked yet again. Gabriel Martinelli, a rebound, another save. It's like there was an invisible wall in front of Everton's goal. 35 minutes in, and Arsenal still couldn't find a way through. Now, what about Everton? They weren't passive spectators by any means. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a decent first half, though quiet compared to his usual standards. Abdoulaye Doucouré, sharp as ever, was in the thick of it too. Their defensive shape? Impeccable. They came to the Emirates to frustrate, and boy, did they succeed. Fast forward to the second half. This is where things got interesting, for lack of a better word. Arsenal came out swinging. 46th minute, Bukayo Saka. Oh, he was in the zone, weaving through defenders like they were cones. Left-footed shot from the center of the box. You're thinking, surely this is it. But no, Pickford dives bottom right, keeps it out. It was deja vu all over again. And Mikel Merino, header from 6 yards out. Talk about a textbook cross from Saka. You could hear the crowd gearing up to celebrate. But no, Pickford again. Top center save. By this point, I imagine the Arsenal fans were tearing their hair out. Then came the substitutions. Arteta made moves. Trossard for Martinelli, Partey in for Lewis Skelly, and Gabriel Jesus entering the fray. The energy shifted. Gabriel Jesus, always a live wire, had a great attempt in the 85th minute, right-footed from the center. Blocked. Trossard? Offside. It's like the football gods decided, nah, not today. And speaking of offsides, what was with Arsenal's timing? Time and again, they got caught. Saka, Trossard, Martinelli, all flagged off. Sure, it's a game of fine margins, but in matches like these, those fine margins are the difference between glory and groans. Everton, meanwhile, were playing the dark arts like masters. Fouls, time wasting, a yellow for Pickford at one point, classic underdog tactics. Ashley Young's foul on Gabriel Martinelli? That wasn't a tackle. That was an announcement. We're here to make this miserable for you. And it worked. One moment sticks out, though. Around the 64th minute, Kai Havertz. The man's been under scrutiny since his Arsenal move, and here he was with a header from the center. Clean connection. Bottom right. But there's Pickford, yet again. Havertz's expression? Frustration personified. You almost wanted to give him a hug and say, mate, it's not your day. By the 90th minute, the frustration in the Emirates was palpable. Everton had settled into full-on park the bus mode, while Arsenal looked like they were throwing everything forward. Desperation football. Gabriel Magalhaes conceded a late corner. Everton tried to run the clock down. And when the fourth official signaled 4 minutes of added time, you could hear a collective groan. Not because they didn't want the extra time, but because they'd seen this story play out before. Final whistle. 0-0. A stalemate. The kind of game that leaves you staring at the table wondering about all those dropped points. For Arsenal, it felt like a missed opportunity, a chance to solidify their position to remind everyone why they're contenders. For Everton, it was a job well done, a gritty, disciplined performance that earned them a valuable point. But look, football's not just about the results. It's about the stories, the moments. And while this wasn't a match filled with goals, it was packed with drama, effort, and that constant back and forth that keeps you on the edge of your seat. So what do we take away from this? Arsenal needs to figure out their finishing. They can't keep relying on moments of brilliance. They need to grind out goals, especially in tight games. Everton? They showed their defensive mettle. If they can carry this grit into their future fixtures, they might just surprise a few teams. That's the beauty of football, isn't it? One day, it's fireworks. The next, it's a gritty 0-0 that leaves you scratching your head. Either way, we keep coming back for more. Liverpool 2, Fulham 2. What a match. If you're a fan of edge-of-your-seat football, this one had it all. Goals, cards, drama, and a rollercoaster of emotions from start to finish. Let's get straight into it. Fulham came out swinging early. 11 minutes in, Andreas Pereira strikes gold for Fulham. It's a simple right-footed finish into the top right corner, but credit where it's due. Anthony Robinson's cross was inch perfect. Liverpool 1-0 down, looking stunned. And the drama? Oh, it was just getting started. Fast forward a few minutes, and we've got controversy. Andy Robertson sees red in the 17th minute. Yes, you heard that right, straight red. It's one of those moments where the game flips on its head. Robertson mistimes a tackle, Harry Wilson goes down, and the referee doesn't hesitate. Liverpool fans are livid. Fulham fans are loving it. 10 men, 73 minutes to play. Could Liverpool claw their way back? But Liverpool didn't back down. They pressed, they pushed, and they finally found their breakthrough. 47th minute. Cody Gakpo. He's in the right place at the right time, heading home from close range after a pinpoint cross from Mohamed Salah. Bottom left corner, classic Liverpool, a moment of brilliance when it matters most. 1-1, and you could feel the energy shift in Anfield. The crowd came alive. Then came the sucker punch. 76th minute, Rodrigo Muniz for Fulham. This goal had chaos written all over it. Anthony Robinson once again gets involved, this time with a low cross, and Muniz pounces. Bottom right corner. You could hear the groan from the cop end. Liverpool were back to chasing the game. Now, here's where it gets wild. 86th minute, and guess who steps up? Diogo Jota. This man thrives on drama. Darwin Núñez sets him up beautifully, and Jota buries it. Center of the goal, and Anfield erupts. 2-2. At this point, it felt like there was another twist waiting in the wings. And there was. 9 minutes of added time. 9! It was chaos. Liverpool throwing everything forward. Shots blocked. Corners conceded. Fulham, to their credit, dug in. Adama Traoré even managed a late attempt in the 96th minute, but Alisson was equal to it. Nail-biting stuff right until the final whistle. Let's talk key players. For Liverpool, Cody Gakpo was immense. His equalizer in the second half was just pure grit and determination. And Diogo Jota, what can you say? The man has a knack for popping up when it matters most. Fulham, though, deserved massive credit. Andreas Pereira was a constant threat, and Anthony Robinson? 2 assists. He was a thorn in Liverpool's side all night. Rodrigo Muniz took his chance clinically. This wasn't a lucky point for Fulham. They earned it. Now, about the officiating, because we have to talk about it. The red card for Robertson. Harsh or justified? I mean, it's a clumsy challenge, but was it really a straight red? Fans will argue about this one for weeks. Then there's the 9 minutes of added time. 9! Where did that come from? It felt like the ref was teasing us, setting the stage for some late drama. For Liverpool, this feels like 2 points dropped. Yes, they showed fight, especially with 10 men, but at Anfield, against Fulham, you expect 3 points. Klopp will be frustrated with the defensive lapses and the lack of composure in key moments. For Fulham, it's a huge result. They came into this match as underdogs, and they walked out with a point. Marco Silva's game plan was spot on. Stay compact, exploit the flanks, and take your chances. And they did exactly that. So, where does this leave both teams? Liverpool will be ruining those missed opportunities. They're in the thick of a top four race, and every point matters. For Fulham, it's another step towards securing mid-table safety. Nights like this build confidence. And who knows? Maybe they'll cause more upsets along the way. This match was everything we love about football: passion, drama, and two teams refusing to back down. It's the kind of game that reminds you why we watch. 4-0. Newcastle United 4, Leicester City 0. Let's talk about this masterclass at St. James Park. If you're a Newcastle fan, it doesn't get much better than this. If you're a Leicester fan, well, maybe skip this one. First half, Newcastle came flying out of the gates, full of intent, and you just knew something special was brewing. And let's start with Jacob Murphy. 30 minutes in, Anthony Gordon swings in a corner. Leicester don't clear it properly, and Murphy's there to pounce. Right-footed, low into the bottom right corner. It's 1-0 Newcastle. The stadium erupted. It was the kind of goal that sets the tone, a little scrappy, but it had all the hallmarks of a team determined to dominate. Then came Leicester's response. They tried to regroup, but Newcastle's midfield? Relentless. Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali were everywhere, snapping at heels, breaking up play, and driving Newcastle forward. Joelinton even got a few cracks at goal. One effort in the 25th minute forced a save, another was blocked, but it was clear. Leicester were hanging on for dear life. Fast forward to the 47th minute, right before halftime. Lewis Hall whips in a beautiful header, and there's Bruno Guimaraes. He rises above everyone else and nods it in, top right corner. 2-0. A set-piece dream. That's Newcastle football right now. Physical, precise, and punishing. Leicester had some chances. Jamie Vardy and Oliver Skipp had efforts blocked, but honestly, Newcastle's backline was like a wall. Dan Burn and Tino Livramento were immense. Every time Leicester tried to play through the lines, they found themselves stopped cold. Second half begins, and you could tell Newcastle weren't about to take their foot off the gas. Alexander Isak steps up in the 50th minute, and what a goal it was. Another header, this time from close range, bottom right corner. It's 3-0, and the Geordie faithful are in dreamland. But Newcastle weren't done. 60th minute. Jacob Murphy again. This guy had himself a day. Alexander Isak feeds him in, and Murphy slots it home center of the goal. 4-0. Game over, right? At that point, you're just wondering if it's going to be 5, maybe even 6. Leicester tried to salvage something. Facundo Buonanotte had a moment where he looked lively, but his night ended with an injury scare. Casey McAteer had a shot saved. Patson Daka came on for Jamie Vardy to add some fresh legs, but nothing really clicked for them. It was one of those nights where everything Newcastle touched turned to gold, and Leicester just couldn't catch a break. Let's talk about some standout performances. Jacob Murphy, 2 goals and an assist. Absolutely electric. The guy was everywhere, exploiting spaces, making smart runs, and finishing with clinical precision. He's the kind of player who embodies what Newcastle are all about right now: hard work, adaptability, and a touch of flair. Alexander Isak. He didn't just score, he was involved in everything. His hold-up play was superb, his passing was crisp, and his movement caused Leicester nightmares all evening. That assist for Murphy's second goal? Chef's kiss. And can we talk about Bruno Guimaraes? This guy ran the show in midfield. His goal was just the cherry on top. Defensively solid, offensively creative, and always calm under pressure. He's one of those players you build a team around. For Leicester, it's hard to find too many positives. They look disjointed, hesitant, and lacking the cutting edge up front. Jamie Vardy had an off night. He didn't get the service he thrives on, and Newcastle's defense had him on lockdown. Jannik Vestergaard picked up a yellow card, and his frustration summed up Leicester's evening. Second best in every department. The substitutions from Eddie Howe showed Newcastle's depth. Sean Longstaff, Harvey Barnes, and Kieran Trippier came on and slotted right in, maintaining the intensity. And that's the scary thing about this Newcastle team. They've got quality on the bench to keep the pressure on for the full 90. By the 96th minute, Leicester were just trying to get out of there without more damage. Caleb Okoli picks up a yellow for a late foul on Joe Willock, and that kind of summed up Leicester's night. Desperate tackles, no cohesion, and zero answers to Newcastle's relentless attack. Final whistle, 4-0. Newcastle fans are buzzing, and rightly so. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. They're showing the league they mean business, and with performances like this, you've got to think they're in the conversation for European football next season. For Leicester, it's back to the drawing board. They've got talent, no doubt, but games like this highlight how much work there is to do. They need to tighten up defensively, find some spark in midfield, and get their attacking rhythm back. This match was a clinic in modern football. High pressing, quick transitions, and deadly finishing. Newcastle were ruthless, and Leicester were left chasing shadows. It's nights like these that make you realize just how far Eddie Howe has taken this team. So, where does this leave us? Newcastle are flying high, full of confidence, and looking like a team nobody wants to face right now. Leicester? They've got to pick themselves up, regroup, and figure out how to bounce back. Because in this league, there's no room for performances like this. 4-0. It's a scoreline that will resonate at St. James's Park for a long time. The fans, the players, the manager, they all deserve the plaudits. This was Newcastle United at their very best, and it's going to take something special to stop them. What a match. Nottingham Forest 2, Aston Villa 1. This was one of those games that reminds you why football is the beautiful game. Drama, passion, and goals that came at just the right moments. Let's dive into it. We kick off with a tense, scrappy first half. Both teams were probing, testing the waters, but the defenses stood tall. Villa's John McGinn was pulling the strings in midfield, looking for that killer pass, while Forest's Morgan Gibbs-White was trying to carve out spaces with his quick feet and sharp vision. But let's be honest, it wasn't exactly a fireworks display in the opening 45. Still, there were flashes. Jan Duran for Villa had a couple of chances early on, one where he sent a left-footed shot high and wide from a tricky angle. Murillo for Forest came close with a header that just missed to the left after a corner in the 31st minute. You could feel the tension building. It wasn't a matter of if the breakthrough would come, it was when. And boy, did it come. 63rd minute, Jan Duran again, but this time he delivers. John McGinn floats in a beauty of a cross, and Duran rises like a salmon, planting a header straight into the high center of the goal. Villa 1, Forest 0. It's a classic striker's goal. Powerful, precise, and utterly deflating for the Forest fans. You could almost hear the collective sigh from the city ground. But here's the thing about this Forest side. They're fighters. They didn't hang their heads. They got straight back to work. And in the 87th minute, the equalizer arrived. Nikola Milenkovic. This guy was a rock at the back all night. But when it mattered most, he showed he's got the finishing touch too. A Morgan Gibbs-White corner, Milenkovic climbs above everyone and boom, header into the bottom left corner. Forest 1, Villa 1. Absolute scenes. Now, if you thought that was dramatic, buckle up. 93rd minute, Anthony Elanga. This kid has pace, flair, and as it turns out, a knack for clutch moments. Elliot Anderson threads a perfect ball through, Elanga controls it beautifully, and with his left foot, he slots it into the bottom left corner. Clinical. Forest 2, Villa 1. The city ground went absolutely wild. You could feel the noise through the TV screen. It was electric. Villa tried to respond in those frantic final minutes. John McGinn had one last gasp attempt in the 98th minute, a left-footed shot that sailed just over the bar. So close, yet so far. And then, just like that, the final whistle blew. Nottingham Forest 2, Aston Villa 1. A comeback for the ages. Let's break it down. For Forest, Anthony Elanga was the standout. He came off the bench, brought fresh energy, and delivered the decisive moment. That's what you want from your substitutes, impact, and he had it in spades. Morgan Gibbs-White was immense as well. His deliveries from set pieces caused Villa problems all night, and his assist for the equalizer was pure quality. Nikola Milenkovic? What a performance. Solid defensively and popped up with a crucial goal. He's the kind of player who gives you everything. Blood, sweat, and maybe even a few tears if needed. Now Villa. Jean Duran was their bright spot. He was a handful for the Forest defense, and his goal was a classic striker's effort. But outside of that, it felt like Villa lacked that cutting edge in the final third. McGinn worked tirelessly, as he always does, but they couldn't find that extra gear when it mattered most. And let's not forget the drama with VR. 81st minute, Chris Wood thinks he's leveled it for Forest, only for it to be ruled out for offside after a lengthy review. It was one of those moments where you could cut the tension with a knife. VR giveth, VR taketh away. But on this night, it didn't matter in the end. This was a huge win for Nottingham Forest. They showed grit, resilience, and that all-important killer instinct in the dying moments. These are the kinds of games that define a season. For Villa, it's a tough pill to swallow. They had the lead, they had chances, but they just couldn't hold on. It's a reminder that in football, you've got to play until the very last whistle. Final thoughts? This was Forest's night. They dug deep, found a way, and gave their fans a memory they'll talk about for years. 2-1, full-time. Football, bloody hell. Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Ipswich Town 2. Let's talk about the drama, the heartbreak, and the absolute chaos that unfolded at Molyneux. It started as one of those matches where you think, surely Wolves have this under control. And then in the 15th minute, disaster struck. An own goal. Yes, you heard that right. Matt Doherty, of all people, deflects the ball into his own net. It's the kind of moment that leaves everyone stunned. Ipswich 1, Wolves 0, and the home crowd is left groaning in disbelief. From that point on, Wolves had to chase the game. And credit to them, they threw everything forward. Jean Rickner Bellegarde had a chance in the 24th minute, but he blasted it high over the bar. Mario Lemina tried his luck from range only to send it wide. It was a familiar story, plenty of effort, but no real end product. Ipswich, on the other hand, were resilient. Omari Hutchinson was a constant thorn in Wolves' side, winning fouls, creating chances, and testing the defense. In the 39th minute, he fired a left-footed shot from outside the box, but Jose Sa was equal to it. Still, you could feel the tension building. Ipswich weren't just sitting back, they were looking for more. The second half began, and Wolves came out with intent. They had to. And finally, in the 72nd minute, they got their breakthrough. Matheus Cunha. This guy was relentless all game, and he delivered when it mattered most. A lovely assist from Gonçalo Guedes, and Cunha slots it into the bottom left corner with his left foot. It's 1-1, and suddenly, the momentum is all with Wolves. The crowd comes alive. You're thinking, this is it. They're going to turn it around. But football has a cruel sense of humor, doesn't it? Wolves kept pushing. Jurgen Strand Larsen, Tommy Doyle, and Cunha all had chances to snatch the lead. Cunha, in particular, came close with a shot from the left side of the box, but Arijanet Muric made a brilliant save. Ipswich were hanging on by a thread, but they refused to buckle. And then came the hammer blow. 94th minute. Ipswich win a corner. Jack Clark swings it in, and Jack Taylor meets it perfectly. A header bottom right corner, and just like that, Ipswich are back in front. It's 2-1, and the Wolves players look shattered. The away fans are in raptures. Jack Taylor even picks up a yellow card for his celebrations, but you can't blame him. It's a huge moment. Wolves tried to rally in the dying seconds, but it just wasn't their night. To make matters worse, Ryan Ait-Nouri picked up a second yellow in stoppage time, a red card to cap off a miserable evening. The final whistle blows, and it's all over. Wolverhampton 1, Ipswich 2. So, what happened? For Wolves, it was a night of missed opportunities. They had 22 shots, yes, 22, and only 6 of them were on target. They dominated possession. They created chances, but they just couldn't find that clinical edge when it mattered most. Matheus Cunha was the standout, constantly involved, but he needed more support. Ipswich, meanwhile, were gritty, determined, and ruthless when it counted. Jack Clark's delivery for the winning goal was inch perfect, and Jack Taylor made no mistake with his header. Their game plan was simple: frustrate Wolves, take their chances, and get out of Molyneux with the points. And they executed it to perfection. Let's not forget the key moments. Matt Doherty's own goal will haunt him. It's the kind of error that can derail a team's momentum early on. And Jack Taylor's header? That's the stuff of dreams for Ipswich fans. For Wolves, this defeat will sting. They'll look at the stats and wonder how they didn't at least get a draw. But that's football. It's not just about how many chances you create, it's about how many you take. And Ipswich took theirs. Final thoughts? Ipswich deserve all the credit for this win. They came to Molyneux with a plan, they stayed disciplined, and they delivered in the crucial moments. For Wolves, it's back to the drawing board. They've got the talent, no doubt about that, but they need to be sharper in front of goal if they want to turn performances into points. Wolves 1, Ipswich 2. A night to forget for the home side, but for Ipswich, it's a night they'll remember for a long, long time. Football, eh? It never fails to surprise us. Union Berlin 1, Bochum 1. This was a match that had everything: goals, cards, drama, and enough missed chances to make you tear your hair out. Let's break it down. The game kicked off with Union Berlin looking sharp. Tim Skarke had a chance just 1 minute in, a right-footed strike from the center of the box that went just over. Early pressure, but you could sense it wasn't going to be that simple for Union. And then, in the 13th minute, the game exploded into chaos. Koji Miyoshi from Bochum got a straight red card. It was a wild moment. He went in hard on Andras Schaefer, and the referee wasn't having any of it. Bochum down to 10 men. Union fans were buzzing, thinking this was their chance to take control. But Bochum? They had other plans. Just 10 minutes later, in the 23rd minute, Bochum struck first. Ibrahima Sissoko rose like a tower to meet Felix Paslak's cross and planted his header perfectly into the bottom right corner. Bochum 1, Union 0. Absolute scenes from the traveling fans. The underdogs, down a man, had taken the lead. Union needed a response, and fast. Enter Benedikt Hollerbach. 33rd minute. Robert Skov sets him up beautifully, and Hollerbach finishes with his left foot into the bottom left corner. Union Berlin 1, Bochum 1. The city of Berlin erupted. Game on. From there, the match became a tale of missed opportunities. Union piled on the pressure, throwing everything forward. Hollerbach was in the thick of it, but he just couldn't find his finishing boots. He had a golden chance in the 46th minute, a right-footed effort from the center of the box, but it drifted wide. A header in the 86th minute? Again, off target. It was one of those nights where the harder he tried, the more elusive the goal seemed. Bochum, for their part, weren't just sitting back. Even with 10 men, they looked dangerous on the counter. Moritz Broszinski and Tim Orman both had efforts blocked. And let's talk about Bernardo. He almost sneaked one in from a tight angle, but Union's keeper was equal to it. Bochum played with heart and grit, refusing to let Union's numerical advantage overwhelm them. Then came the final act of madness. Patrick Drews, Bochum's goalkeeper, picked up an injury in stoppage time after they'd already used all their substitutions. He had to soldier on, and Union tried to capitalize. In the 92nd minute, Hollerbach had a chance, a header from close range, but it missed the mark. You could feel the tension in the stadium. Union fans were desperate for a late winner, while Bochum fans were praying for the final whistle. In the end, it wasn't to be for Union. The referee blew the whistle at 1-1, and both sets of players collapsed onto the pitch, exhausted, frustrated, but knowing they'd given it their all. So, what do we take away from this match? For Union Berlin, it was a night of missed chances. They had 21 attempts, but only managed to put 6 on target. Hollerbach worked tirelessly, but his finishing let him down. Robert Skov, on the other hand, was excellent. His deliveries were top-notch, and he picked up the assist for Union's equalizer. But overall, Union will feel they left points on the table. Bochum, though, deserved massive credit. To go down a man so early and still leave Berlin with a point? That's gutsy. Ibrahima Sissoko was immense, not just for his goal, but for his presence all over the pitch. And let's not forget Felix Paslak. His assist for the opening goal was inch perfect. Bochum showed they're not just here to make up the numbers, they're here to fight. Final thoughts? This was one of those games that keeps you glued to your seat until the very end. A 1-all draw might not sound like much, but this match had everything you could ask for. Drama, passion, and a little bit of chaos. Union Berlin will be kicking themselves for not taking their chances, but Bochum, they'll be smiling all the way home. Football. It never ceases to surprise us. 1-all, full time, and a match we won't forget anytime soon. Mainz 2, Bayern 1. What a night. What a match. This wasn't just a game. It was a statement. Mainz stood tall against the Bavarian giants and delivered a performance that will echo around the Bundesliga for weeks to come. Let's dive into it. The game began with Bayern, as always, asserting their dominance. They had the ball, they had the tempo, and Michael Olise nearly opened the scoring in the 6th minute. A lovely left-footed shot from the center of the box clattered off the post. You could see the panic ripple through the Mainz defense, but fortune was on their side. Then came the twist. Mainz, underdogs on paper but full of fight on the pitch, struck first. 41st minute. Lee Jae-sung, the man of the moment. It was a scrappy build-up, but Lee was there to pounce. A left-footed strike from close range, dead center. Mainz 1, Bayern 0. The stadium erupted. Bayern looked shell-shocked. This wasn't in the script. The first half ended with Bayern looking to respond. Leroy Sané, their most dangerous player on the night, tried to spark something, but Mainz held firm. It was 1-0 heading into the break, and you could feel the tension rising. Second half. Bayern came out swinging. They threw on Mathis Tell to add firepower, and they were relentless. But for all their possession, for all their attempts, Mainz didn't just absorb the pressure. They hit back. 60th minute. Lee Jae-sung again, this time setting up Armindo Sieb with a gorgeous cross. Sieb doesn't miss those. He buries it center of the goal. Mainz 2, Bayern 0. The unthinkable was happening. Bayern had to respond, and finally, in the 87th minute, they did. Leroy Sané. He was Bayern's standout all night, and he delivered a poacher's finish, a left-footed strike from close range into the center of the goal. 2-1. Suddenly, it was game on. Bayern pushed, and Mainz dug in. You could feel the drama in every tackle, every clearance. Joshua Kimmich and Jamal Musiala both had chances to equalize late on, but the Mainz defense held their ground. In the final moments, Mainz goalkeeper Robin Zentner made a crucial save to deny Bayern what would have been a heartbreaking equalizer for the home side. The clock ticked into stoppage time, and Mainz clung on. Nadim Amiri picked up a yellow card for his efforts, but he won a key free kick to help run down the clock. 96 minutes in, the final whistle blew. Mainz 2, Bayern 1. An upset for the ages. So how did Mainz do it? They were fearless. They didn't sit back and hope for a draw. They went toe-to-toe with Bayern. Lee Jae-sung was phenomenal. A goal and an assist, and his energy was infectious. Nadim Amiri was everywhere, breaking up Bayern's rhythm and driving Mainz forward when it mattered most. And for Bayern, it was a night of frustration. Leroy Sané was brilliant. He scored, he created, and he looked dangerous every time he touched the ball. But the rest of the team, just not sharp enough. Michael Olise hit the post early, Jamal Musiala was wasteful, and Joshua Kimmich, despite his usual composure, couldn't break through Mainz's resilient backline. Credit to Mainz coach Bo Svensson. He got his tactics spot on. They pressed Bayern in the right areas, doubled up on Sané when necessary, and made sure to capitalize on their chances. It was disciplined, it was gritty, and it was effective. This loss will sting for Bayern. They had their moments, but they lacked that clinical edge we've come to expect. It's a reminder that in football, possession and dominance mean nothing if you don't put the ball in the net. For Mainz, this is more than just 3 points. It's a statement to the rest of the league. They showed that with heart, discipline, and a touch of brilliance, even the biggest teams can be brought down. Mainz 2, Bayern 1. A result for the history books. And honestly, this is why we love football. It's unpredictable, it's dramatic, and it's beautiful. Borussia Mönchengladbach 4, Holstein Kiel 1. What a game. This wasn't just a win for Gladbach, it was a statement. 4 goals, a commanding performance, and a home crowd that went absolutely wild. Let's break it all down. The match got off to a flying start. Barely a minute in, Frank Honorat whips in a peach of a cross, and Tim Kleindienst is there to head it home, high into the center of the goal. 1-0 to Gladbach, and you could see it written all over Kiel's faces. This was going to be a long night. And it got longer. 26th minute, Robin Hack doubles the lead. Nico Elvedi sets him up with a smart pass, and Hack unleashes a rocket from the left side of the box. Top right corner, 2-0. At this point, Holstein Kiel were struggling to contain Gladbach's fluid attack. But credit to Kiel, they didn't give up. Just 4 minutes later, they pulled one back. Armin Gigovic, from outside the box, curls one beautifully into the top right corner. It's 2-1, and suddenly there's hope for the visitors. The game was alive, and for the rest of the first half, it was end-to-end stuff. But just when you thought Kiel might claw their way back, Gladbach struck again. 43rd minute, another set piece, and this time it's Alassane Plea with a header, top left corner. 3-1. Gladbach were clinical, punishing Kiel every time they left an inch of space. The second half, more of the same. Kiel pushed, they probed, but Gladbach's defense held firm. Joe Scali and Nico Elvedi were immense at the back, cutting out attacks and winning key duels. Kiel had their chances. Lasse Rosenboom's header in the 65th minute was on target, but it didn't trouble the keeper. And every time Kiel came forward, they left themselves open at the back. 79th minute, and Gladbach put the game to bed. Rocco Reitz with a clever pass, and Alassane Plea slots it into the bottom left corner. 4-1. Game over. The home fans were in full voice, celebrating what was turning into a dominant performance. There was a brief moment of controversy late on. In the 88th minute, Tim Kleindienst thought he had his second goal of the night, but VR ruled it out for offside. You could hear the collective groan around the stadium. But let's be honest, it didn't matter. The job was already done. Kiel kept fighting right until the final whistle. Magnus Knudsen and Shudo Machino both forced saves from Gladbach's keeper, but it was too little, too late. 95 minutes in, the referee blew for full time. 4-1 to Gladbach, a comprehensive win. Let's talk about the standout players. Alassane Plea was sensational. 2 goals, tireless work off the ball, and he was a constant thorn in Kiel's side. Frank Honorat deserves a mention too. His deliveries were on point all night, setting up 2 of Gladbach's goals. And Robin Hack? That second goal was pure class. For Kiel, Armin Gigovic was the bright spot. His goal was a beauty, and he worked hard in midfield. But beyond that, it was a tough night for the visitors. They had moments. Max Geschwil and Lasse Rosenboom looked lively. But they couldn't match Gladbach's quality in the final third. So, what's the takeaway? For Gladbach, this was the perfect performance. They were clinical in attack, solid in defense, and they controlled the game from start to finish. It's the kind of win that builds confidence and sends a message to the rest of the league. For Kiel, it's back to the drawing board. They showed flashes of quality, but they'll be kicking themselves for how easily they let Gladbach cut through them. There's talent in this team, no doubt, but they need to be more compact defensively if they want to compete at this level. 4-1. Full time. Borussia Mönchengladbach were magnificent, and this is a game their fans won't forget anytime soon. Football at its finest. Bayer Leverkusen 2, Augsburg 0. A solid performance from the visitors and another reminder of why Leverkusen are a team to watch this season. Let's dig into the action. The game kicked off with Leverkusen immediately on the front foot. From the start, they looked organized, sharp, and hungry, and it didn't take long for them to capitalize. 14 minutes in, Martin Terrier opened the scoring. Jeremy Frimpong led a lightning-fast counterattack, sent in a perfect cross, and there was Terrier, cool as you like, slotting it into the center of the goal. 1-0 to Leverkusen, and Augsburg already had a mountain to climb. To their credit, Augsburg tried to respond. Arne Meyer tested Leverkusen keeper Lukas Hradecky with a shot from distance in the 32nd minute, but it was comfortably saved. Philip Tietz also had a couple of decent chances, including a header that went just wide. But let's be honest, Augsburg's finishing left a lot to be desired. Meanwhile, Leverkusen were relentless. Their second goal came in the 40th minute, and it was a beauty. Nathan Tella found Florian Wirtz on the left side of the box, and Wirtz, with the kind of composure that makes you think he's been doing this for decades, buried it in the bottom right corner. 2-0. Augsburg's defense looked deflated, and the writing was on the wall. The first half ended with Leverkusen firmly in control. Augsburg had moments, like Tietz's header in stoppage time, but they just couldn't break through. It was clear that if they were going to get anything from this game, they needed to step it up in the second half. But the second half? More of the same. Leverkusen dominated possession and created the better chances. Jeremy Frimpong and Wirtz continued to terrorize Augsburg's backline, while Granit Xhaka controlled the midfield like the general he is. Xhaka may not have grabbed the headlines with a goal or an assist, but his leadership was evident in every pass, every tackle. Augsburg did show some fight. Marius Wolf and Alexis Claude Maurice tried to spark something, and Christian Djakic came close with a header in the 91st minute. But for all their effort, Augsburg never really looked like scoring. Lukas Hradecky wasn't troubled enough, and that's the story of their night. Plenty of effort, but no cutting edge. Leverkusen, on the other hand, could have added to their tally. Patrick Schick, who came on as a substitute, missed a golden opportunity in the 79th minute. Alex Grimaldo sent in a brilliant cross, but Schick couldn't keep his shot on target. It didn't matter in the end, though. 2-0 was more than enough. Let's talk key players. Florian Wirtz was sensational. A goal, constant movement, and an eye for the killer pass. He's the kind of player who makes the game look easy. Jeremy Frimpong was another standout. His assist for the first goal was pure class, and he caused problems for Augsburg all night with his pace and creativity. For Augsburg, Marius Wolf worked hard, and Christian Djakic looked solid in patches. But the truth is, no one really stood out. They lacked the quality to compete with a team as polished as Leverkusen. What does this result mean? For Leverkusen, it's another 3 points and a performance that will boost their confidence. They showed balance, clinical in attack, solid in defense, and composed in midfield. For Augsburg, it's back to the drawing board. They need to be more clinical in front of goal and tighten up at the back if they want to climb the table. Final thoughts? This was a professional performance from Leverkusen. They never looked rattled, even when Augsburg tried to pile on the pressure late on. 2-0, job done, and they march on. As for Augsburg, it's clear they've got work to do. They showed glimpses of promise, but glimpses won't win you games. Football, It's as much about grit as it is about quality. And tonight, Leverkusen had both. FC St. Pauli 0, Werder Bremen 2. A game full of grit, clinical finishing, and a reminder that sometimes it's not about dominating possession, but about making the most of your chances. Let's break it all down. Werder Bremen struck first, and it came early. 24th minute. Derek Cohn, take a bow. Jens Stage does the dirty work, driving through midfield before slipping a perfect pass to Cohn. Cohn takes one touch, sets himself up, and fires it into the bottom right corner from the left side of the box. 1-0 to Bremen, and you could feel the energy shift. St. Pauli, stunned, had to regroup. And to be fair, they tried. Johannes Eggestein had a decent effort in the 18th minute, forcing a save from Michael Zetterer. Jackson Irvine also came close with a header, but it missed the target. You could see St. Pauli's intent, but the execution just wasn't there. Every time they got into Bremen's final third, it felt like something was missing. A final ball, a moment of composure. Meanwhile, Bremen? They were calm, composed, and lethal on the counter. Every time Mitchell Weiser or Jens Stage picked up the ball, you could sense danger. They were smart, picking their moments, and not letting St. Pauli dictate the tempo. The first half ended 1-0, and St. Pauli came out swinging in the second. They pushed higher, took more risks, and tried to find an equalizer. Danel Sinani had a couple of half chances, including a left-footed effort in the 49th minute that flew wide. Oladapo Afolayan was lively as well, always looking to create something. But for all their possession and pressure, St. Pauli couldn't break through Bremen's well-drilled defense. And then, just as it looked like St. Pauli might find a way back, Bremen delivered the killer blow. 54th minute. Mitchell Weiser picks up the ball on the right flank, drives into the box, and cuts it back for Marvin Duksch. Duksch doesn't hesitate. Right-footed, bottom left corner. Clinical. 2-0 to Bremen, and that was all she wrote. St. Pauli kept fighting, to their credit. Danel Sinani and Carlo Bucalfa both tested Zetterer, but Bremen's keeper was up to the task. Even late in the game, when they brought on fresh legs like Andreas Albers and Morides, St. Pauli just couldn't find the breakthrough. It was one of those nights where no matter how hard they tried, the ball wouldn't go in. Let's talk about key players. For Bremen, Derek Cohn and Marvin Duksch were outstanding. Cohn's opener was pure quality, a perfect blend of precision and power. Duksch, he's the guy you want in those decisive moments. One chance, one goal. Mitchell Weiser also deserves a shout-out. He was everywhere, winning duels, creating chances, and assisting the second goal. For St. Pauli, Johannes Eggestein and Oladapo Afolayan worked tirelessly. Afolayan, in particular, was a constant threat, always looking to take on defenders and make something happen. But the standout for them had to be Jackson Irvine. The man's an engine, breaking up play, driving forward, and leading by example. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. This game was a masterclass in efficiency from Bremen. They didn't dominate possession. They didn't create a million chances, but they were clinical. They defended as a unit, attacked with purpose, and capitalized on their opportunities. That's how you win games. For St. Pauli, it's a tough one to take. They had the ball, they had the chances, but they lacked that cutting edge. It's a reminder that in football, the only stat that truly matters is the scoreline. Final thoughts. Bremen were brilliant. 2-0 away from home is never easy, and they made it look straightforward. For St. Pauli, it's back to the drawing board. They showed fight, they showed flashes of quality, but they need to find that ruthless streak if they want to turn performances into points. Football, it's as much about execution as it is about effort. Tonight, Bremen had both. And that's a wrap for episode 5 of Across the Pitch. What a show. EPL madness, Bundesliga brilliance. It's why we love the beautiful game, isn't it? Now, before you head off to catch those highlights again or start prepping your fantasy team for the weekend, do us a favor. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the episode. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, what are you waiting for? And make sure to ring the notification bell so you're always the first to know when we drop new episodes. And don't leave us hanging in the comments. Who impressed you the most? Which result shocked you? Or hey, if you've got a hot take, we want to hear it. We want to hear it. Let's keep the football chat alive because that's what this channel is all about. Thanks for tuning in to Across the Pitch.